How do we enable progress in a post-COVID world? What does positive change really look like? How do we make innovations that stick? And how do we stop our innovations causing harm? We as innovators need to think deeper, go further, and do better together to help humanity going forward. My name is Cuthbert, and my LinkedIn profile says that I'm an innovation maven. I spent well over 10 years working in the area of innovation, and, well, Gladwell would say that would give me the title. I have had a fascination with change since I was a young boy, and innovation has been at the heart of everything I do. I have been privileged to support projects in cradle-to-cradle manufacturing, proton therapy, battery technology, satellites, quality management, and genetics, to name but a few. And over that time, my role has been supporting innovators to make the right choices and to take the right opportunities. I've been privileged to explore the connectivity of ideas linking verticals, sectors, and different industries to bring real, massive change. And in that change, we make worlds collide, bringing the age of innovation together in a really real sense, creating profound differences. So, innovation like that is notoriously hard to replicate. And therefore, I hope to share my experiences as to what the steps are to help people create real progress in this world. I'm a big believer in four benefits because those allow us to drive the economy and also our planet forward. I have seen firsthand how we need the right people at the right place at just the right time to make effective innovation. And COVID has affected everything we do. It sped up that pace of change dramatically, and we as innovators have to combat that. It's important we work together. We move forward for benefit rather than to the detriment of our world. Change is not always good. And because of that, technical progress has borne witness to so many major catastrophes in our world. On the birth of the atomic bomb back in 1945, Oppenheimer famously said, "I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." It's clear innovation often lacks a connected sense of the consequences, and therefore can become a destructive force on society. How many behind social media would have lamented the destruction that it would bring on the fabric of our society? How few consumers consider the environmental impact of their impulse buying on the world until now, when it's too late, our natural world has been impacted. John von Neumann, back in 1958, coined the phrase singularity. That is when technologically evolves to change how normal human affairs work every day. I would argue that we're already there. Ray Kurzweil argued back that by 2045 that a single computer will outthink the entirety of humanity combined. Imagine that. There is enough precedent in history to learn what happens next. We need to think deeply on the consequences before we begin to innovate. We can't prevent change, we can simply shape it for good. The creators of change often create it with that expectant sense of optimism. And that's not always been warranted, as I've said. We'll never get there without the right intentionality, though, for the world, and therefore we have to try and create good. So, innovation, how's it made up? There's many different perspectives. Incremental innovation, well, it can't be dismissed. If we don't develop ideas and optimize them, we without a doubt will continue to reinvent everything, including the wheel. And therefore, despite making a massive number of changes, we would not make that impact that we seek because of our failure to stand on the shoulder of giants. Incremental innovation doesn't sit at the edge of innovation, and it warrants its own talk. As a techie, I consider technology and invention the bedrock of innovation, and the development of new technology has been a driver for humanity since the dawn of time. We must, of course, consider the market, the humanities. It's only through market adoption that we can create real innovation. Our market-moving ideas are called architectural innovations. That's where we take existing technologies and sell them in brand new ways. But those real mind-bending ideas, those that we struggle to imagine until they're right in front of us, Those are called radical innovations. That's where new markets and new tech come together. My favorite innovation story is that of Carl and Bertha Bentz. It's a love story, a story of the time, and a story of female emancipation, all rolled into one. Carl Bentz had invented the world's first automotive non-tracked carriage back in 1886. He patented it in 1886 and worked on it for another 2 years before his wife got so incensed that his invention had not hit the world yet that she stole the vehicle together with their 2 sons in 1888. That first vehicle, or that first trip in a motorized vehicle, took her from Mannheim to Pforzheim, 106 kilometers away. Took over 12 hours because the vehicle broke down on the way, and actually they traveled at roughly 5.4 miles per hour. But at the time, you can imagine, people saw this carriage without a horse. It could have been seen as witchcraft. The press at the time were also astounded. Imagine a vehicle could even be driven by a woman. This first trip was not to be the one that would continue the journey. Bentz famously said, even after his wife had taken that trip, that his first customer was a lunatic, and his second actually had a death wish to get into that car. Well, I still prefer the Bentz story over Ford. At least it's a bit romantic. So whatever the innovation, it must be of the moment. Whether incremental, whether it's disruptive, whether that is architectural, or even radical like Carl and Bertha Bentz, we only have a short time to innovate. Time waits for no person. Your time to think deeper, go further, and do better is now. Back in 1979, Philip Crosby argued that quality is actually free. But to harness it, we need to measure it. We need to define measurement of innovation in order to drive forward how it works. So Christopher Freeman, back in 1963, wrote what is now the seminal works, the Frascati Manual. It's been evolved since then. Freeman was an economist and an expert on the knowledge-driven economy. He was invited by the Nesti conference in Frascati, Rome, to write a document that would lay down the framework for innovation for the OECD, so as to enable its measurement. So what were those measures? Uncertainty. It's absolutely essential. We have to drive for new ideas that do not yet exist. By nature, these are uncertain. Novelty. How is a change-worthy idea created? How would we create positive change through massive thinking, new ideas at scale? Creativity. What are those stages that are going to get us there to create that novelty? And what about systematizing the concept? How do we turn it into something that doesn't just work once, but works in context multiple times, so we can optimize it and make it better? We require transferability. Once it has worked through that systematic approach, we then make it better and better, optimizing it in practice so it works beyond the theory. Freeman laid out that framework with which to score innovation. Uncertainty, novelty, creativity, systematization, transferability, all are essential to the mix. We need to ask, why do people innovate? Why innovate better or at all? Well, the answer is simple. Because the gamble is big, but the prize is immortality. Those that are successful, Gates, Jobs, Bezos, Musk, Ma, Son, all these individuals and innovators like them create so much economic impact that their impact outweighs that of all those who have failed before them put together. Everyone should encourage innovation, and it enhances the wealth of nations and also helps towards the sustainability of our planet. Innovation simply doesn't fund itself, though. Many a solid idea is had by someone whose only failure is a lack of access to resources. It's our duty to make sure that innovation is truly supported. If you don't have your own funds as an innovator, well, friends, family, and fools, those are the first point of call to get that nub of idea into reality. When you use other people's money, though, make sure to use it more wisely than you would maybe spend it yourself if it was your own. Grants in academia, well, those help planned research. Tax credits incentivize us and encourage us to carry out innovative activities. Architectural innovations can actually develop sales capital. These can be new ways of selling existing technologies, things we already know that we need. And in that area, there's also venture capital to help you speed that journey. Corporates are, of course, always incentivized to innovate. You may or may not know that only 0.5% of companies survive over 100 years. Many of today's companies won't be here tomorrow, and even the biggest need to buy in innovation. It has always, though, been down to the innovator to decide how far they will go to make it work. Innovation can be economically valueless pursuit unless it works. As an innovator, they have to be lucky and work very, very hard with the right team who are in the right place at the right time. It's only ever the successful change makers that ever seem to go down in history. So, back to the start. How do we create progress in this post-COVID world? Well, firstly, plan appropriately. Think deeply at all times. Don't plan too much or too little. Ensure you're onto a genuinely novel goal. The outcome will be worth it. Take the gamble and it may just pay off big. Ensure you have the right team because it takes neurological diversity to innovate. No one mind is novel, creative, systematic, and can optimize ideas, both technical and social, in one way. We need a team to carry that baton of innovation forward. Most importantly, ensure your project is a for benefit. Ensure your mission is true, that it works towards the sustainability of our planet and a better future for all. You don't want to be the next Oppenheimer, becoming the destroyer of worlds with that innovation that might just succeed. Therefore, my fellow innovators, I ask you to always think deeply, go further, and we will all do better together. Thank you.